So I'm going to take that off. I need to get that working. So you'll actually get better quality audio the next time when I do actually get that going. Hopefully. Manage your channel directly from your phone. So yeah, basically on, what day was it now? Was it the day before or yesterday? No, yesterday is when I picked up this webcam. So the Logitech C922. So I can actually make these streams look a little better. I'm sorry, I'm really tired today. But it's all well and good. Now I can stop worrying about the camera going in and out of focus all the time. I can actually have a look at chat, pull up my phone if I need reference material for stuff, which I need often. And yeah, it should be all well and good. So today I'm going to be answering questions that I get on the stream. But at the same time, I do need to work on some other stuff which is not IP related, unfortunately, but I'll try to keep up with the... what I am going to be doing today is working on some promo material for my band, because we are releasing a new single on I can't speak today. We're releasing a new single at midnight, so of course I have a few things that still need doing. I really should have notes or something that keep me on track with everything that I'm attempting to talk about, because I have a tendency of babbling, doing things, and then forgetting what I was talking about. So, let me gather my thoughts just for a second. This headache really is killing me quite a bit. But yesterday was the first day that I went to the new makerspace, and I'm gonna start going there more and more. It's basically everything that I've been looking for, well, forever, because I can use it 24/7 whenever I want, and I have my own shelf space, and basically I can come and go as I please and work there, which is a freaking dream, because the thing that was keeping me back from the previous workshop was the fact that it was only open at certain times and during the week, not on weekends, and I couldn't leave any stuff there. It was really, really far away. So essentially, I would just do an hour, maybe 2 hours here and there where I could spare it. And on top of that, it was starting to get very expensive doing it that way. So now that I have the new workshop that I can start working at, things should progress a lot quicker than they have in the past couple of years. However, I went there yesterday. I had to do some, get the templates ready for the Celeste 2.0. Plus, I made new templates for the Icarus and Daedalus, new neck templates, new just all kinds of stuff. But the one thing that the workshop was missing was a good spindle sander. So I couldn't get any work done, or not much work done, because that is pretty much what I need to get stuff finished. So to that end, what I decided to do was just go ahead and buy myself an oscillating spindle sander type machine, because that's something that I've been looking forward to for God knows how long. I don't have space to use it here in my apartment, but now that I have a workshop space that I can go to and leave it at, I can finally get the tool that I've wanted for a very long time, which is the TSPST 450 Triton oscillating sander. So this one. And there you can actually see it. Great. But this is going to make my life so much easier, because one of the things also at the previous workshop was the fact that while they did have spindles on the belt sanders, they were so worn down and abused that it just ended up being a whole lot of work for me to get anything done on those. So now making an investment for a tool like that was the logical choice at this point. I would show you the templates, but I don't have them here. It's a shame. But essentially what I did was for both the Icarus and the Daedalus, I found the center line, I got them centered, looking great, and just in general a lot sleeker than what they were. Because with this is the old Daedalus template that I have. The edges on it are not that great, and because it's what it is, it's also not even, has knots and everything else. It's just not very good. So now I'm using some MDF to make my master templates, and then from those I'm going to make the templates that I'm going to actually use going forward. So yeah, on the Daedalus, all I basically did was just get the center line in the right place, because it's not on this one. But the Icarus got a lot more work done to it, because there's always been something about this that, while I like it, there's something that just doesn't seem right about it. And I realized what it was. It's this, the horns don't look right. So what I did was I made the top horn, I made that a bit wider so it's not as pointy, and I slimmed down the bottom horn, also brought in the scoop just a little bit to give you better fret access onto the higher frets. Then I did some modification on the actual shape of it, because, well, first off, the center line and finding that was a royal nightmare, because on this it is, how far off was it? Well, it was a lot. It was off by quite a lot. So I fixed that, and then I realized that the issue between these two parts is that this distance is completely different on both sides, which is completely fine if that's where you're going for, but it doesn't look, it looks odd. This looks a bit too pointy, and then this just ends up swooping down too much. Nothing wrong with having a nice wide fat caboose, but I decided to go and modify the shape just a little bit. So I made it ever so slightly asymmetrical. I brought this scoop, or this part, in a little bit more. Then it was round, didn't look quite right, so I brought this curve up and moved it ever so slightly. It's one of those things where it's very hard for me to kind of describe what I did, as it's much easier to show you, but in general, now both of the body types, they look really swell, and I really look forward to what the next batch of guitars is going to look like. Speaking of the first batch, which is this stuff right there behind me, you might remember from our previous stream that we were talking about sending a guitar to Matt. If you don't follow my Instagram, I did post about it, but basically this Daedalus Carillion birch topped Daedalus is going to Matt Heafy of Trivium, and it's gonna be freaking cool. I'm so excited about this. I gotta admit, I was really kind of hoping that he would choose this guitar, because well, I just dig it, and I think that he will too. it is going to get the Kichi Chaos kanji on the 12th fret. I have a couple of different sizes, so I can send them back and forth to him, see which one fits best. And I don't know how many details I'm going to tell you about right now, but on future streams, I am going to probably be on future streams. I'm probably going to be working on this, so you'll get to see a little bit how it progresses. But anywho, now I need to get myself working on this video, and I'm gonna keep the chat up so that I can actually see if you guys are talking to me. Now, I don't think that this is going to be a normal setup for me, because right now it could be a bit better. You don't need to see all the junk underneath the table and stuff like that. So if I were to actually bring it to the table, would that look a bit better? The good thing about the webcam that I did get, it has a little tripod, and you can actually mount it onto a camera mount. So some of the issues I've been having with my current computer is just that I don't know. There's something about it that still needs to be fixed. I have a feeling that most of the issues are my external drive, which is something I've been using to store all of my work. Trying to learn a PC is something that I don't especially enjoy. I really did like my Mac products in that sense, because they seem like much less of a hassle. Anywho, this is kind of what I'm working with right now, is trying to get these looking somewhat okay. It looks weird because they are not completely round. Just wondering whether I want them to kind of like cut like that. Gonna play. It's not gonna look like this, that's for sure. Do need to add some stuff to the background. But if I use those as the overlay stuff, there we go. I need to figure out what I'm going to put underneath. What I do need to do, though, is add a tint. Map white to this. Really play around with a bunch of things. You don't need to see that stuff. I'm sorry, this is a very hectic kind of stream because I'm still trying to learn the ins and outs. I do need to set up everything to do with StreamLabs moving forward. Hey, Imar! No, that is not for an inlay. That could be for an inlay later on. Basically, what I'm doing right now is nothing IP related in a way. I was answering some questions at the start of the stream, and will continue to do so if you have any questions. But essentially, I need to get some work done for some promos for my band, because we're releasing a new song at midnight, and I need to do the final, promotional things, because I haven't gotten those done yet. So I need to use my stream time to work on that kind of stuff. The bass over there, that still needs the nut worked on a bit, but I also want to get this camera set up and all my brain's not working. I wanted to start getting used to having a webcam and setting things up on StreamLabs, but that's kind of what I'm doing right now and trying to figure out how everything works. So I'm learning to do that streamer stuff, and it's not going that well so far, but trial and error and testing things out. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. Oh, the name of my band, yeah, Bloodblind. Yeah. So this is an IP Guitars channel, but I am promoting my own band right now for reasons unknown. But yeah, it's kind of what we're doing today. I'm still, while I do want to focus, of course, the IP streams toward building guitars and working on guitars and answering questions about guitars, there's more than likely there's going to be occasional stuff where I'm just talking about life and things that I'm doing other than IP stuff. But Imar, seeing as you missed out on the beginning, I basically had the first day at the workshop, the new workshop, and realized that they didn't have a bobbin sander. So I bought one today. It's coming probably tomorrow. I'm gonna have it for next week, but I should be able to crack on with a lot of workshop stuff pretty soon. Which is all well and good, and I'm really looking forward to that. Excuse me. Oh, something I could actually show off on stream, seeing as we're here, and I see it in the background over there, is... So, this is Johnny's... So, Johnny is the first IP endorsement, and we made a custom 3-string fretless bass for him. Relict fretless 3-string bass. And this is based off of one of his Thunderbirds. I think it was an Epiphone Gothic, or what do you call it? The black one. And basically it is a mahogany body. It's a 2-piece mahogany body, even though you can't really see the joint anywhere, which is pretty nice. 3-piece maple neck and a teak fretboard. I realized I slapped the strings while I said that. And yeah, this is something that he played up until he got the 5-string that I made for him. And he brought this in because he wanted to change out the barrel jack into a Nutric locking jack, because his input kept on popping out during shows, which is not ideal, not what you want. Other things that this includes are red drum in blood and blood splatter on the top, and that is actual real cow's blood on there. So not a very vegan friendly bass, I admit, but it fit with his band. And back then he played in a band called Organ Grinder, and nowadays he plays in a band called Neurosurgery. And yeah, IP artist, endorses the stuff that I do, and I look forward to working with him more and more in the future. There's been a lot of interest in the 5-string bass that I built for him, and more of that kind of stuff. So we'll see if that keeps on going moving into next year, and we might actually make production bass models for his signatures. But that's in the future. We'll see. But I am fairly happy with how this one turned out. It was a lot of fun. A complete, utter nightmare when it came down to finally getting this entire bass finished, and then we went and beat the crap out of it and dragged it across concrete and everything else just to get it banged up and reliced out. So it was a little heartbreaking, but a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Here we go. Nah. Now, Irmar, you were saying that are these inlays? These. No, they are just small parts of the logo. But however, if my bandmates should choose so, we've already talked about me making signature guitars for them, because of course, it just makes sense for me to make guitars for the guitarists of my band, because, you know, it's kind of what I do. And that would make for a pretty cool, I think. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. When I started making guitars, I didn't have any band members to make guitars for, but I did. Well, I modified my own guitars, and I still have the first guitars that I've built, and they're both the same kind. Or both the same shape, but one is a baritone and one is not. Let me actually show you those. This is one of the first guitars that I had built. Granted, the neck is something that I built later on. This is the leftover wood from the Scum guitar, so it is a maple and beech neck, 5-piece, Bubinga fretboard, a 3-piece walnut body with beech stripes, and yes, it is called Wrath. Originally, it didn't have the veneer on the top, but I had screwed up the position of, well, everything. And the neck pocket was just, don't get me started. So I fixed her up while I was Crimson. I filled up everything here. Well, there's a block of walnut right there that had both the pickups in it. Sealed that off. Plugged up the bridge holes. Plugged up the neck pocket. Rerouted that. But I made a little mistake in that when I did the scoop, I sanded away a little too much, and now this is way too close to the edge, and as you can see, it pokes out. But yeah, can't always be perfect with things that you make. Let's see if this is in tune. I really highly doubt that it is. Hey, check that out. If you don't know Cyan Kicks, I really suggest going to go and check them out. Really terrific Finnish band. Not even close to being in tune. I wonder what's happened to it. Because, well, I wonder what's happened to it. Cold weather has happened to it, and I haven't played this or tuned this in a very long time. How is Matt's model coming out? I shall show you. Love the name. Oh, before we get to Mass Guitar, a little bit more about why I made this. So, Wrath. There was one customized guitar that I made. It was originally an ESP MH50, MH100, can't remember. But modified that, and it was a green guitar with green LEDs. I made sort of semi-hollow, really rough, really rough work. And I mention it when I looked back at some of the worst guitars that I've built. I mention it there because while it was a lot of fun, there were a lot of mistakes. But anyway, I couldn't think of a name for it, and then I asked my then girlfriend at the time, what should I call this? And she just looked at it. It was like, it's green, so I can envy, like green with envy. And that's when a light bulb went off in my head that I want to make 7 guitars, 7 different shapes that are going to be concept guitars, which are going to be the 7 collections. So the first one that I made was Wrath. So according to the 7 deadly sins, wrath, envy, lust, avarice, gluttony, sloth, pride. I think I got all of those. So this was born out of that. Of course, Wrath has to be a complete metal guitar. So I made a complete metal guitar with EMG pickups and pointy, sharp things. And this, still to this day, I'm really surprised at how well this plays. And it sounds great. I just need to put better pickups in it, and I'm probably going to use it for recording some of my own stuff at some point when I have time. If I have time. But yeah. One of those things where it's like, it's just... there's no way that I can ever sell this because there's so many things wrong with it. Unless someone really wants it, sure, I can sell it. But I'm telling you, it's not really up to par. But it suits for my needs whenever I need to pick up a guitar that's in drop C. So this gets the job done for me. Yeah, it's a fun little thing. It's quirky and stands to basically show where I started off from. I just noticed as well, I'm not a fan of doing bolt-on necks, but no matter what, this sort of stuff shouldn't happen. So see over there where my finger is right now, that part, that is where the screw went through onto the fretboard. Yikes. So yeah, not a perfect guitar by any means. But you asked about Matt's guitar, so I'm going to show that to you, Armor, because you asked about it. But I showed it a bit earlier in the stream. So Matt's guitar currently, because I have a couple of deadlines that I need to get working on, this is in the works and waiting up until I have time to work on it properly. So I'm going to finish the Celeste 2.0, then I'm going to continue with this and the other 3 and the 7-string. And it'll be all well and good. Basically, I'm going to go over the details when we get closer to actually working on this. Don't want to give away too much right now. That happened to me too. Damn screws. I made my guitars based on Japanese warriors. I had a lot of problems naming them. Yeah, that was one of those things as well, where when I started drafting what became the production models, naming things has always been somewhat problematic, but I kind of had a vague idea of what I wanted, and Jay is my go-to guy for coming up with ideas. So basically, I kind of like the idea of going with Greek mythology for names and stuff. And I always liked the ring of Icarus. I always liked that sort of name. So what ended up happening is Icarus and Daedalus. Jay's suggestion to go for Daedalus, and I think it works very well. They somehow fit the guitar shapes, if that makes any sense. And I'm very glad that we decided to go with this sort of direction. Then the first multi-string that IP made was called Gaia. So now I need to think of what I'm gonna make, because I really do. I asked about it on Instagram as well. I do want to try and see if I can make the Scum into a production multi-string. So I would need a name for that, which would still work with the rest of them. So Greek mythology, something like that. Yeah, naming stuff. It's hard. Another thing that I was like having a lot of difficulty with was naming my colors or my color options for staining and stuff. But I got there. I figured out the colors and I figured out the names for things. But when it comes to guitar building and things that are difficult, or just like, yeah, sure, naming your products, that's always somewhat of a hassle. Trying to figure out what kind of serial, if you're doing serial numbers, what kind of serial numbers you're going to do. But headstock shapes, man, that is freaking nightmare trying to come up with headstock shapes. Took me a long time to get mine done the way I wanted them to, but now that I have done them, I am very pleased with them. The Icarus headstock is, well, I like reverse headstocks. I tried to keep it so that the curves flow, but so that it isn't too pointy. Familiar, but not, too pointy. Yes, I do realize that it looks like a lot of other brands, but it is also based very much on two headstocks that I have done previously, which is the Ruby guitar and the Scum. And this is kind of an amalgamation of the two. There, you can actually see a little better the Ruby shape in there. This also, not a straight line. This is a slight curve. So I really like that one. And then the 3-a-side headstock was a little bit more. Don't worry, this template will never get used again. It is not great. That's why I made the new ones. But this headstock took a lot of working out. This curve came pretty easy, and I've always liked this sort of feel. And then just the connecting lines worked out a little bit better on the new template than they did on this, but you get the basic idea. And had it like this originally, but then very quickly noticed I did it on the Wrath at first, but having it reversed from that side, this ended up looking a whole lot better. So this is basically what we're going to go for. And, together they work pretty well. The new one, I think, swoops up ever so slightly more. But yeah, very much, I do realize that this is the Icarus is very Ibanez-y or Solar guitars, and I realize that this is very, I guess, Schecter-y in its shape. But there are no original ideas. We'll go with that. Matt is going to be very happy. Well, Matt is going to be very happy. It looks good already. Um, well, thank you very much for saying so. I really hope he will be happy with what I'm going to make for him. Basically, I sent him a message of, what do you want customized? Do you have ideas? This is basically my plan, or my original plan for the guitar, and is there anything you want customized for it? And Matt, being the cool guy that he is, he just went, sounds great, you go for it. So I'm going to make it to my best of ability, and I hope he can make it sound freaking awesome. I know he can make it sound really awesome. I just hope I can get it to him in one piece. My trust issues with mail delivery is partly due to dealing with mail every single day, and you know, they either do their job or they don't. Yeah, headstock design is a pain. Awesome, looks like a sword. Looks like a sword. You mean the Icarus one? So the 6-in-line headstock, I'm presuming. I guess that looks a little bit more like a sword than the 3-a-side headstock. I should get back to work. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do with everything. So this was somewhat of a train wreck of a stream, but it was a stream of sorts. Yeah, I'm learning the ins and outs of how to do this. I'll get better at it, but yeah, this was more a test than anything else. I'll probably save highlights of this. I'm gonna see whether I save the entire thing, but at least I'll have some highlights to edit up. And I'm gonna go and do that now. I think this is probably a good point to end for now. Thank you very much for watching if you watched this, and I will see you guys next stream, which will be next Wednesday. All right.